Okay, so now I made another blooper. I actually did a whole spiel and played a nice tune, and forgot to press record, so we're gonna have to do it again. But anyways, this is the spot where I caught the 8 pounder, and about 15 feet out, just the edge of the little weed patch here, and the water was super muddy, and it had the tiniest sliver of worm on a big 1/0 hook on a bobber. The hook was about a foot below the surface, and I think what happened was because I don't even think this bass could have even seen this perch. I mean, even if this worm, even if he had been wearing polarized sunglasses, he still wouldn't have been able to find this worm. And I think it was a fluke. I think that there may have been a little perch nibbling on my worm, and he went to eat the perch, and he got hooked by accident. I did have him on the night before that, and it was dark, and when he hit, I had no idea that he would be so massive. And so I didn't fight him quite as intensely as I should have. And he made a run that night from there. He made a run straight into the shore, and there's this tiny little inlet that right here that you could see a little bit of water flowing under there, and he tried to run up in there. I don't know why he would do that, because there's no escape there, but anyways. And so that's when I realized how big he was, but by that time it was too late. He spit the hook and he swam away. He didn't run, he swam. And so he got away, but then the next day I came back and I got him. And actually, I'll tell you the truth, that night when I caught him, we had fished here many times, me and my buddy, and we never caught anything in this area. And then that night we happened to buy some Gulp Alive, the minnows in the little plastic bucket. And within 60 seconds, as soon as we put on the first minnow, my buddy Roger, right out there, he could always catch fish in this little area over here. All I ever got was snags, but he always caught nice bass. But within minutes, we had 4 or 5 pounders, one after the other. And that's when I was convinced that this was the best spot in this whole stretch. So, anyways, and so I had him on that night. And then Roger didn't see him because it was dark, and he didn't believe that he was that big, because there's no proof. But I knew he was huge. And I came back the next day to get him without Roger, because Roger was just a giant pain in the ass anyways. And so, yeah, this is the spot. And if he's still here, and he's still alive, if he's still alive, I know he will still be in this area. This is going to be his spot. He's going to own probably this whole area from that little corner right there, and they'll control like a half circle, probably all the way. That tree right there, they used to always be able to catch a nice 4-pounder right under that outer branch. You come here. One time I actually came down, and just to prove a point, because people leave so much garbage laying around, and I wanted to prove a point about the garbage. I thought I could come down here, find enough garbage to make a rig to go fishing with. So over that way, there's a little inlet, another little inlet, and I went in there and I found a hook, and I found some line. And then I went somewhere else, and I think I got a worm from under a rock. And then I came over to this area, and so the hook I found was small, and I put the worm on, and I caught a little perch. And then I took the perch, and I found a bigger hook. I think it was sitting right here on this giant rock. And this is my bottle of Coca coffee, because I can't afford an actual traveler's mug, so I just use whatever. But it's really good Starbucks coffee. And I found a bigger hook, so I took the bigger hook, put the perch on the bigger hook, and I cast it right under that tree where the big bass, the big 4-pounder lives, and I caught him. So, I came down here with nothing, a 6-pack and a little green bag, and yeah, I used the garbage that I found, the piece of string and the hook and the worm, and I caught a perch, and then I put the perch on another hook, and I caught a bass. So I caught a 4-pound bass using nothing but garbage that I found. And anyways, I think, so what I was trying to get at was I think that the bass that lives in this area is probably so big that he kicked that 4-pounder out from under that tree, because that 4-pounder doesn't bite anymore. And on the other side of that tree, on the other outermost branch, was another bass that was about 4 or 5 pounds, and he would, you know. And anyways, but they're not here anymore, and I think the bass that resides in this area is so big that he's probably big enough to kick those guys out, and I think he's taken over their turf. But anyways, so at some point this summer, I'm gonna spend enough time here that I am gonna land this 8-pounder, and I'm gonna prove to you that he exists. And anyways, in the meantime, I'm gonna play the song that I tried to play before, and I forgot to press record. So here goes. Thank you very much.